not going to waste any time. Let's get right into it and talk about one of the more exciting games on the week. Really excited about this one. Between the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans, we typically have a pretty good battle every time these guys play. Right now, the Titans are in commanding lead of the AFC South, coming in at 4-0 versus the Texans at 1-4. Texans looking to try to continue their streak after firing Bill O'Brien, seeing if Romeo Crennel can continue to inspire new light in this team. Deshaun Watson went off against the Jaguars last Sunday. We'll see if he'll have success again going against the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee Titans came out and lit the world on fire on Tuesday night playing the Buffalo Bills. Ryan Tannehill comes out, scores 4 touchdowns in his debut, and basically says, frick everyone that didn't believe in us coming into this game. So should be very, very fun to watch this one. Very high over-under in this one. We've got 53.5 points. As expected, Tennessee's defense has been decent, at least at creating turnovers, but overall, they've been giving up a lot of points, as have the Texans. Neither of these teams are super great against running backs or receivers or tight ends. A little bit better against quarterbacks. I think that has some to do with interceptions, but overall, not really worried about any of our starters here, guys that we're typically looking to start. I think this will be a pretty high-scoring game and should be a lot of fantasy options here. Titans favored to win this one by 3 at home. I'm actually surprised the spread is as low as it is. It does seem like there's still a general disrespect for the Titans, I feel, at this point. They're 4-0, taking down the Bills, who were being looked at as potentially the best or second best team in the AFC behind the Kansas City Chiefs, and they came out and handled them pretty easily. So we'll see how the Titans can do in this divisional matchup, but I like the Titans a lot more than Vegas does right now. In terms of who are starting in fantasy, this is pretty easy for me on the Titans side. I don't know what it is about the constant disrespect that Ryan Tannehill gets in the fantasy community. NFL and CBS had posted on Twitter the other day, since coming back and taking over as the starter for the Titans, the last 14 games, Tannehill, compared to Patrick Mahomes in their last 14 starts, Tannehill has 3,602 pass yards compared to 3,674 for Mahomes. Tannehill has a 31-6 touchdown interception ratio to Mahomes' 28-6. And Tannehill even has a better quarterback rating of 116.7 to 102.3. So I'm not going to make the argument that Tannehill is better than Patrick Mahomes, but people keep looking at Ryan Tannehill as if he's like this bottom barrel replacement quarterback, like a Nick Foles type. Then he's been absolutely studly for fantasy and for real life football. If you needed a spot start this week, or if you're just looking for a consistent starter after losing Dak, I really think Tannehill is your guy. If he's out there on the waiver wire, he should not be, especially after throwing up 4 touchdowns on Tuesday night. Ryan Tannehill is going to have a great game this week against the Texans. He did last year in multiple starts against them, and I'm looking for him to have another good game here. Of course, we're starting Derrick Henry. Texans run defense, one of the worst in the league. A.J. Brown looked dominant again, got some time to recover from that knee injury, and it was a knee bruise, the injury that he had sustained, so it's not something that typically lingers. Once you recover from that, it's fine. So unless he sustains a different type of injury, we're not really looking for that to be lingering at all. So A.J. Brown looks like he is in full force again. He was dominant on Tuesday night, looking for him to continue that against the poor Texans secondary in Week 6. Jonnu Smith has been one of the best tight ends on the year. Of the guys that we drafted later, he is leading the entire pack there. So you're starting Jonnu Smith until further notice. And I think you can start the Titans defense in this one. Even last week, where the Texans ended up winning, we saw Deshaun Watson throw up multiple picks. So Titans should be able to force a few picks in this one. And that offensive line still letting way too many pressures on Deshaun Watson. So Titans defense, a sneaky start here. Not starting Kahlif Raymond. I don't know that Corey Davis or Adam Humphries will be back from the COVID IR list. Probably not. So we're not really looking at starting anyone else besides the main 4 guys there. On the Texans side, we're starting Deshaun Watson. He was, back to being a fantasy quarterback 1 again. Should have another good week this week. David Johnson should still be a decent start. Titans have been okay at slowing down the run, but David Johnson's been pretty consistent, coming in as like a low end to medium running back 2 every single week. So that's probably what you can expect from him again, but at least he's not busting for you. And then, of course, Will Fuller. As long as he's healthy, we're going to keep starting him. Now, the real question is, are we going to go back to the well with Brandin Cooks? In week 4, he comes out and completely gooses us, and then week 5, he goes off for a ridiculous fantasy performance. Randall Cobb has been more consistent. One of these guys is probably going to end up having a pretty good game here. I know it's hard to bench a guy after he goes off, but I still feel a bit bitter towards the goose that Cooks gave us. I want to see if this is for real or if that was just a single matchup against the Jaguars. So if you had to pick between these guys, I would still take Cooks over Cobb, but I'm looking to see if I have better options on my roster other than going back to the well here with Cooks or Cobb. Now, Akins and Fells from a tight end spot. If Akins is out again for some reason, Darren Fells becomes a really nice spot start for you. But when they're both on the field, Akins has been getting more of the targets, but it hasn't really meant much for fantasy because these guys do still go back and forth in the red zone. Deshaun Watson does love targeting his tight ends in the red zone, so one of these guys are likely to score, but we don't necessarily know which one each week. That's why it was a little bit easier for us to start Fells last week when Akins was out due to that concussion. And Romeo Crennel has said that he wants to get Duke Johnson more involved. I'll wait until I see it before we start putting him out there in our fantasy lineups. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see if he could actually do something in the passing game because he was able to last year whenever they used him, but that was like once every 4 games. So Duke Johnson is someone that you could probably pick up if he's on the waiver wire. Just throw him on the back of your bench and wait for the game where he breaks out, and then you can either sell high or hopefully he ends up taking over as a nice running back flex spot for you. If David Johnson does sustain an injury, I do think Duke Johnson will still be a valuable asset. If you own David Johnson, you probably want to handcuff him with Duke. I'm not going to start the Texans defense in this one because as we just saw, the Titans can light up pretty much anybody at this point. I like the Titans by a good bit in this one. I got the Titans winning this one 34-27 for the Texans.